Yo, what's going on, people? And I have two announcements to make. Today is the drop of my second sample pack called Impetus. It's volume 2 and it has 15 free samples you can download. There is a stem version which is only $20, so if you want to download that, then you know what to do. And the second announcement is that me and my good friend Lona have dropped a podcast which came out on Friday, so if you want to check that out, that will be in the description as well. So I thought I'd break you down this sample that was in the sample pack and I'll just give you my opinions of why I did this. So my vision of this whole sample just for this was I wanted it to be very 90s 80s R&B, like funk soul. That's sort of my vibe. So I just used this electric piano that sounds like this. So with that electric piano, it's very slow, so it gives me a lot of room to work around, and that was like a slow jam type of vibe that I was going for. So with this, I just EQ'd it, and then I ran it through the reels, which I just turned the flutter all the way down. I didn't want it to be modularized or detuned in any way. I wanted it to be very natural. After that, I wanted to add this like wing upright piano that I layered on top, and it sounds like this. And I'll just show you the piano for both of these pianos that I layered. So they're very simple, as you can see here. And then again for this piano, I've added another reels, little bit of flutter, didn't want it to be too crazy. And then just a room reverb, very dense, doesn't need to be crazy. And I've took out little bits that I didn't like in EQ, lows. I rose the higher just because it just gives it a little bit more core cutting edge through the other piano. So when I'm trying to think about what to use next in this sample, I like to just fit stuff in different pockets. So as you can see here, I've used this pluck. So with this pluck sound, it had tons of delay, and it was like a reverse pluck sound. And for that reason, I didn't put any effects on this. I left it dry, and I feel like the delay and the reverse of the pluck just gives a nice texture in the pockets of the elements of the chords, because where they're very spaced out, they can just fit in perfect, and it just gives that nice 80s like funk vibe. And the next I wanted to add a melody just to give a nice little texture riding into the B half of the sample. So I've added this lead that sounds like this. I think this sound was just a normal analog lab. It's called 66 high lead, and it just gives that nice warped tone that I just feel like gives a nice ride into the rhythm of the whole sample. So with that, a lot of 80s music obviously has Juno choruses on stuff like the electric pianos, leads. So I've used this light chorus just to give it a little tiny bit of modulated effect. I've used tons of reverb because I wanted this lead to be very wide and very drowned out, just to give nice atmosphere in the background. Didn't want the dry version of the sound just being too overpowering. Then again, just EQ'd bits I didn't like, always do that. And then I just wanted to low-hi it just to get rid of the high end, because I wanted it a little bit down so it wasn't piercing again through the whole sample. Then a tiny 1/4 delay on either side, left and right, and that just gives it a nice rhythm and fits in the pockets again. And then for the second half of the sample, just to give it a nice ride to the rhythm of the sample, and just gives a nice tone and texture, especially with like 80 samples. They like to use a lot of like these ARP cool sounds that sounds like this. That's just a nice little melody in the background, just adds ear candy and just fits in perfect. Then with that, quite a lot of decay on the reverb, the mix to 40. Then I've used this tape delay just to give it a cool effect, gives it a new texture in like the remaining of the delay. Always like to pan man it just to give space in the sample. This is how I use my samples. I like to give space for individual sounds. Then after that I wanted to add like this very vintage guitar that just sounds like this. And that just fits in with that slow, nice rhythm and just giving so much space in the sample. And again, I've used this Evolution Stratosphere Mr. Jazz preset, and I feel like that gives a nice like wah effect on it. So I've used this Corey Wong clean whistle amp, and I've just brought down the highs and presence a little bit just so it could fit in the background. And I've made it mono just because I didn't want it to be too wide and complicated. Then I've used this band pass filter that just filters out the lows and the highs, and then I've just put the resonance up a little bit just to give that nice cutting edge to the sample. Then again, a higher decay because I wanted to fit in that nice atmospheric vibe that I was going for. And then lastly, I just used the percussion that I just EQ'd like this. And with that percussion, I just used this perk, then this tambourine, and then this shaker. And all I've done with that is just EQ'd. Then with all these stems, I've brought them down by 3 semitones you can see here. And the reason why I stem them out is because you can kind of hear when it's lower, the mix, is it right? And then you can have a better understanding if you've over processed or if you need to process a little bit more, maybe EQ bits out, change the delay or reverb a little bit, and you can just, that's how you can train your ear very well. And then sometimes even if it's like too overpowering, something's just not fitting right, you can just EQ the new version of the 3 semitones. You don't need to just go in straight into the sound. And then what I like to do with my overall samples is just use this imager to just space everything out and like band past certain areas. So you can see 150 to 2K, little bit down. I've always just take down from 0 to 150 because I feel like the bass doesn't need to be stereo. And then just the noise a little bit. I've got quite a lot of noise width on this. And this is how the whole sample sounds together. And as you can hear, everything just fits in perfect. So that is that for this video. If you like it, you know what to do. Go down below, download the sample pack. There is a free version, 15 samples. There's also a stem version, which is only $20. Check out the podcast with me and Lona. It's very good. We're going to try and get people so involved with it and just try and have some fun. And then be on the lookout for some more kits. It's going to be a one-shot kit, drum kit, and all that stuff that they can just help people out. Thanks for sticking by me, people, and I'll see you in the next one.